Hello, my name is Wyatt Tauber, and today I'm presenting my exploit for RIT's Computer System Security, or CSEC-742 Attack Defend project. I chose to implement the Shellshock exploit. So Shellshock is a bug in Bash that occurred around 2014, which allows arbitrary code execution on any devices connected to the internet running the Bash shell. I chose to implement the Shellshock vulnerability in Docker on a virtual machine connected to our class's network to avoid exposing the host itself to any attacks. And I configured my Docker image to run with Docker Compose and to spin up a vulnerable web server using an old Bash version from before this vulnerability was discovered. So here is my Docker Compose script, which I'll be running soon, and here is the command that I will use to run the exploit. This is available publicly at my URL /CSEC-742 project. Here is the Docker container that I built. It can be pulled with this command. So here I have my Docker Compose file from the previous tab, and I will be starting it up with just Docker Compose up. So right now I already have the image downloaded. So otherwise Docker would download the image and then start and attach to the server. And you can see that I have attached to my Apache HTTPD web server now. So the website should be up. So if I open Firefox and go to localhost, you can see that I have visited it in the Apache logs, as well as you can see my lovely web page here. So for an attacker that will be attacking this, they will probably not know my IP address, so they're going to have to use nmap or another port scanning utility to discover which hosts are on the network. And we're going to start by doing ifconfig to see my current IP address on our network, which is 124. And I'm going to modify that slightly to use nmap to scan and identify hosts that are running on port 80, which is for HTTP, on the 192.168.50.0 through 255. That's the range of the subnet. And I only want ports that are open, because ports that are open will be running HTTP service on them. So I'm going to scan that. We're going to wait for a minute for the scan to complete. And the scan is completed. I have a few results here. I know that I am not running Microsoft Internet Information Services, so I'm going to look for the one that says Apache, which is right here. So the target's IP address is 192.168.50.121. So let's just open that up here to make sure. And you can see this server is now accessible from Kali. Down here is the command that I will be running to demonstrate that Shellshock is exploitable on the system that I configured. To start out, I'm curling a web page, so I'm just going to retrieve the web page via the command line. And this is how to exploit the Shellshock vulnerability in general. There are many different ways to do this. Right now I'm implementing the Shellshock vulnerability in the user agent, so I'm just putting this special string which will trigger the Shellshock vulnerability inside the user agent that will be sent in the HTTP header to the website. And I am starting the bash shell, which includes the vulnerability, and I am going to execute the command cat etc password, which is the Linux users file. You generally don't want this to be accessible to anybody who can just curl it, so this is obviously not intended if somebody can get this file from your web server. And then I have the IP address of the server that I will be attacking. And this attack is leveraged through CGI bin, the common gateway interface, as well as any scripts that are running in there. So if I copy this and run it in the terminal, I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see the result. I should be able to see the password file from my other host. And I can. So we know that this server is vulnerable to Shellshock. Let's see what else we can do. Let's try going up one directory here, which will usually be on Apache an htdocs folder. So going up one directory and then to htdocs folder to see what else is available on this server. So the index.html page is what we could see if we load the server itself, but there is another file here. I'm going to take a look at what this other file is by copying and pasting it into the into the browser. And there you have it. The exploit is completed.